I just wanted to really hone in on why I moved out of Chicago, and I'm bringing up these stories to give you some reasons why I got out of Chicago and why I am so glad I am out of that pit of a city. The first story that I want to bring up is Mayor Brandon Johnson, who is about the worst mayor in the city's history. So I'm just going to play this story.
Right now, where there's no return.
A frank admission from Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. A looming budget crisis could be even worse than expected without new taxes or cuts to city services.
The systems that people rely upon, education, healthcare, housing, our transportation, they are woefully underfunded, and everyone knows that.
Right now, Chicago is facing a $1.1 billion budget gap for 2026. The financial burden could be even greater because of a pension bill signed by Governor Pritzker, which has increased retirement benefits for police and firefighters. That added over $11 billion to the city's long-term pension liability.
Yes, I'm going to put forth a package that people can assess and debate.
So what could be in such a package? Johnson has already ruled out a property tax increase, which many alders had promised to vote against. Other possibilities include a corporate payroll expense tax, a head tax, and even a tax on cars coming into the downtown area, patterned after New York's congestion tax.
I have not made a formal presentation yet, but I can assure you one thing, though. I am committed to making sure that the ultra-rich and those with means put more skin in the game. That is the pathway forward.
Already, the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce has called some administration ideas a step backwards for economic growth.
These things are bad for business, they're bad for jobs, they're a direct disincentive for employers to hire people in Chicago.
Another challenge. Johnson says the Chicago public schools are owed more than $1 billion in funding from the state of Illinois.
It's $1.6 billion. These aren't my numbers. These are the state's numbers. Who's hurting ultimately here?
I mean, this is insane. This has been going on for years and years and years and started accelerating back in 2015 when I made the decision to move out of Illinois. This was coming to a head, and I saw the signs that it was coming to a head. And at the time when I lived in Chicago, we had Mayor Rahm Emanuel, and not, even though he wasn't as bad as Beetlejuice, Lori Lightfoot, or Brandon Johnson, he started hiking taxes and started proposing the hikes in taxes. And we also had Governor Quinn as Illinois governor, and he was talking about hiking taxes. So that was a big reason why I got the heck out of Illinois. And this has been an ongoing crisis as well. The Chicago Public Schools, one of the worst school districts in the entire country, has always had budget deficits.
We have the clearest picture yet of how Chicago Public Schools plans to overcome a $734 million deficit next year. Political reporter Chris Ty has been following this. You have what it means for families and also what it means for City Hall.
That's right. The budget cuts cut meal prep staff, crossing guards, janitorial workers. A lot of those were let go this summer. And there are also going to be more deep cuts at district offices. But classrooms, Marie, are largely left untouched in all of this. Also of note, that budget proposal by the mayor's hand-picked interim CPS CEO rejects the mayor's preference for that high-interest short-term loan that's caused so much controversy of late.
This just feels like bizarro land to me. Bizarro or not, plan rollouts for how to chip away at CPS's $734 million deficit have begun, with massive operational cuts at CPS central offices. They'll refinance huge debt district-wide and bank on $379 million from city TIF surpluses, tax money raised from revitalizing blighted city areas that require city council approval. Banking on that raised immediate red flags.
In what political reality world do we believe that a city council that does not like to give up their TIF money anyway, that we're going to get 26 votes to give us $379 million?
The proposed budget, which still needs board approval, does not include the $300 million high-interest loan Mayor Johnson pressed hard for. You'll recall it's part of the reason he fired former CPS CEO Pedro Martinez, and pressure that led to every member of the prior school board to resign.
It's held the line on the pressure campaign from City Hall.
Joe Ferguson from the Independent Civic Federation says it's a credit to Johnson's hand-picked interim CPS CEO, Dr. Macklin King, who resisted that pressure too.
She wants this job permanently. She has made hard decisions that aren't going to be happy ones for the people who will decide whether she gets the job permanently. So a profile and courage, at least to this extent.
Ferguson gives the proposed budget a B grade and says most CPS families will feel cuts on the margins, but not where it matters most, in the classroom.
Most people can rest assured that the thing that they send their children to school for has been protected here.
So what's next in all this? There are public hearings next week, Marie. Then the week after that, the 21-person school board needs to approve it, and that is not a sure thing.
Right.
Half of that board is handpicked by Mayor Johnson, who wants that high-interest, short-term loan. The other half elected by residents of the city of Chicago. So this isn't over yet.
Yeah, parents can't have that sigh of relief until that's
Not
all
yet.
handled. Thank you, Chris.
You bet.
And Illinois lawmakers approve $55.2 billion budget tax hikes on sports betting and tobacco just before midnight deadline.
Good evening from Springfield. A budget that no one here loves passed
$1 billion budget overnight with a number of provisions that could affect your pocketbook. WGN's Tamon Bradley has details.
Good evening from Springfield. A budget that no one here loves passed moments before the deadline while a crucial transit bailout stalled.
Of course.
This bill, having received a constitutional majority, is hereby declared passed.
The Democratic-controlled legislature approved a $55.2 billion budget balanced by hundreds of millions of dollars in new taxes. It was a stressful spring session. Democrats blame Washington.
The Trump slump is affecting every state, and the chaos and uncertainty of the Republicans' proposed cuts to health care and education and jobs have made budgeting, well, harder than ever before.
The budget boosts funding for K-12 education by $307 million and provides more special grants for safety net hospitals that are known to treat the uninsured. Gone is a health insurance program for non-citizens between the ages of 42 and 64. And at the advice of the governor, lawmakers paused a $75 million annual increase in state-funded preschool programs.
We've been, I think, prudent this year about making cuts to government where we thought we could.
The final revenue plan dropped 6 hours before lawmakers' deadline.
This budget reflects the priorities of the Democrat majority's pork projects.
The revenue includes a program to collect delinquent taxes, a new per-wager tax on online sports betting, and higher taxes for tobacco products. Lawmakers departed without passing a desperately needed bailout of Chicago area transit.
We need to address transit funding as fast as possible, and no doubt the legislators will be meeting over the course of the summer.
A proposal to fund transit through higher taxes on ride shares and a $1.50 fee on packages and deliveries had almost everyone here at the Capitol talking.
You're going to bail out an unpopular mayor on a dysfunctional system, and all of our people are going to pay the damn bill.
Should lawmakers return to take up transit legislation, it's going to be an even harder lift. Now that session is over, it takes 3/5 vote to pass bills. Reporting at the Capitol in Springfield, Timon Bradley, WGN News.
Next, Illinois drivers will pay more for gas starting Tuesday due to annual gas tax increase. Yet another tax.
Tax increases, annual gas tax increases take effect tomorrow. The automatic motor fuel tax adjustments to the consumer price index each year to account for inflation. This year it's going up just over 3 cents a gallon, bringing it to 48.3 cents for gas, 55.8 cents for diesel. That amounts to an extra 24 to 32 cents a tank on average. According to the Tax Foundation, Illinois has one of the highest fuel tax rates in the country.
No surprise. Here's Pritzker's pet bill. Bill to boost some Chicago police firefighter pensions because they can't find people who want to take those positions. I mean, who would want to be a police officer in Chicago?
Chicago police officers and firefighters will be getting a big boost to their pension thanks to a bill signed into law by Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker. That bill increases pension benefits for police officers and firefighters who are part of the Tier 2 pension plan. That was passed into law a decade ago to reduce pension benefits for new public employees. The new law aims to raise their benefits equal to those under the older pension system, but it does come at a big cost. It's estimated the city will now have to contribute an additional $7 billion to the police and fire pension programs over the next 20 years to make them solvent.
Yeah, they're sorely underfunded. And this is about property tax increases, so you think Ohio's bad. Just look at Chicago. So this was from 6 months ago.
But the mayor's property tax hike did not go over well with a lot of homeowners, especially in Pilsen, where residents are already dealing with back-to-back tax hikes. We're listening to you, and Andrew Ramos is in Pilsen, where some homeowners are now debating whether they can even afford to stay.
We could be forced out, but
Mary Gonzalez and Gary Galuzzo have called Pilsen home for decades. The married couple, who are homeowners and community organizers, have been helping friends and neighbors navigate the treacherous waters of property taxes in the predominantly Latino neighborhood, a trend they say spiraled out of control just 2 years ago as more developers moved in.
But all of a sudden, they discovered that this is a neighborhood that's highly valuable, and boom, the taxes shot up. People are very frustrated, and there's two options. There's one is you run away, or one is you stay and fight.
The couple among the many homeowners in Pilsen who saw increases of more than 40% after a reassessment in late 2022. Gentrification in the neighborhood among the many culprits that have played a role in recent hikes.
Why is an old person sitting on a block with a little old raggedy house responsible for the lot next door being turned into 3 condos?
For Julie and Marianne Nuskell, who have lived in their 2-family home on 22nd Place their entire lives, another tax increase is too much to bear.
I don't think it's fair that every time the city needs money, we're going to hit up the taxpayers. We pay enough. For the city, we pay very high.
The frustration on the block has now boiled over into anger in wake of Mayor Johnson's 2025 budget announcement, which calls for an estimated 4% tax increase on average for homeowners. Many who say they're prepared to exercise every option on the table to fight back.
The day I leave, I'm going to leave in a box. But no politician is ever going to force me out of Pilsen. It's my neighborhood.
We're here longer than quite a few mayors that we've had, and I'm going to stay longer than this mayor. He'll be out before me.
Now, earlier we heard from 25th Ward Alderman Byron Cincho Lopez, who represents much of Pilsen. He does not support a tax increase and is among the many now urging the mayor to find another avenue for his budget. Budget hearings are expected to begin next week. Reporting here in Pilsen, Andrew Ramos, CBS News Chicago.
Yeah, property tax is just an extortion from property owners, and it's not fair, and I think it is unconstitutional because it's a tax on unrealized gains on your home, and it's just a shakedown of the homeowners. It should be abolished. So this is from 2015, and this is what I'm talking about that was part of my decision to get out of Illinois.
Tomorrow morning, Mayor Rahm Emanuel unveils his new city budget plan. Eyewitness News political reporter Charles Thomas joining us from the ABC 7 Media Center with what Chicago taxpayers can expect. Charles.
Well, Cheryl, they can expect the mayor to ask the city council to approve a 60 to 70% increase in the property tax bill levied by the city. It would be the largest increase in modern Chicago history.
We need to include protections for the working families of the city of Chicago.
The council's Progressive Caucus would send low-income homeowners rebate checks for most of the increase if it's approved. That would mean that every other home and commercial property owner would have to pay an even larger share of the increase in the city's levy.
We must ask the city's very wealthy and big corporations to pay their fair share in taxes.
Tomorrow, the mayor will explain the city needs the property tax increase with a state-approved exemption for lesser-valued properties to pay the unfunded police and firefighter pension debt. The progressives, a minority on the council, would prefer a tax on financial transactions as opposed to residential real estate.
I'm not selling the mayor's tax increase to anybody. That's on him.
On the day before his big announcement, the mayor would not talk to reporters about it. His office did issue a statement teasing the budget speech, saying it would outline, quote, a new course for Chicago, all while holding those residents who can least afford to shoulder the burden harmless.
You must tax the wealthy. You must properly fund public education.
Meanwhile, the Chicago Teachers Union repeated its threat to strike this winter if massive layoffs happen because of a separate $500 million deficit facing the city's public schools. Sharkey cannot believe the city would prioritize pensions over school children.
I find it mind-boggling. I think that it's ignoring what is the most dire crisis that we face right now in the city.
Never address spending.
In his speech tomorrow, the mayor also will propose new fees for city garbage pickup and using ride-sharing services. We're told the budget plan also includes a new tax on e-cigarettes. All of it must be approved by a majority of the 50-member Chicago City Council. Back to you in the studio.
Given the emergency order.
So last but not least,
for a spike in their property taxes.
Sticker shock for some homeowners on the city's west side when they saw the second installment of their property tax bill. And the deadline to pay it is in a couple of weeks. CBS 2's Jermont Terry spoke with one homeowner whose bill went up thousands of dollars, and he joins us live. Jermont?
Joe, across Chicago and Cook County, homeowners were told to brace for a spike in their property taxes. But the bill that some are getting in the mail this week is forcing them to do a double take, asking, can this assessment be right? Tonight, one Chicagoan questions if she can even afford to stay in the city.
It's the holidays, and most people are looking forward to what the end of December and the new year will bring. But after checking her mail this week, Becky Marshall is only left with worry.
I've lived here all my life. I love this city with everything I have.
But do you love this?
I do not. I do not. And I laugh, but it is not.
You laugh because it hurts.
It hurts, and it's ridiculous.
Her hurt centers around this, her 2021 Cook County property tax bill.
It's brutal.
She and her husband moved into their Humboldt Park home in 2013. Last year, they paid a total of $3,664. And check out how much her taxes are now.
About $7,100.
Becky paid her first installment, leaving her with a balance just under $5,200, all due by December 30th.
23 days to come up with this kind of money.
The Cook County assessor warned homeowners there will be a spike because there were fewer commercial businesses to tax. But a jump of this magnitude?
That's insane.
I feel like I got slammed against a wall.
The tax bills did not come out in August. Instead, they are now more than 100 days late. The county assessor blamed the Cook County's Board of Review and vice versa. Yet homeowners are still expected to pay by December 30th.
I know I'm not alone, which is what is also upsetting. I'm concerned for my neighbors. I'm concerned for the neighborhood. I'm concerned for the city as a whole.
In the past 20 years, Becky's taxes jumped, get this, more than 1,000%. Today, it's at the highest ever. And if it keeps increasing,
we'd have to leave the city.
She questions if that's the goal,
all
to force people out.
I hope I sleep tonight.
Because the future in Chicago does not appear to be optimistic for you.
It does not.
So anybody can move in, increase your
Now, if you have
values.
not checked for the bill in the mail this week, it's a good chance that it's waiting for you. For a full list of the neighborhoods with the highest changes in assessments, just head over to our website at cbschicago.com. We have the list for you. Reporting live tonight, Jermont Terry, CBS 2 News. Joe?
Sounds like a lot of people are going to be surprised. Jermont, thank you.
So this was from December 7th, 2022. Totally insane, and this is what's starting to happen in Ohio. But besides zero cash bail in the Safety Act and the increased crime, those are some of the biggest reasons I got out of Illinois. I just knew this was coming. I could see it. Because when I lived in Chicago, the property taxes were pretty stable. We didn't get these huge property tax increases. And the city as a whole, it was getting better. The crime was down. I could walk downtown. Even in the evening, I would even walk up Lakeshore Drive 8, 9 o'clock at night and not feel threatened. There were just certain areas that you would walk in and certain areas that you did not walk in. And then you certainly didn't walk around in the middle of the night unless you were with a group. And then you would also take a cab if it was late. But now I don't feel safe in that city at any time of the day, especially alone. And I still wouldn't feel safe even if I was with somebody. Because you got the Safety Act, which is the no cash bail that Pritzker passed, and I think it went into law in 2023. But it's only gotten worse, and a lot of stores have closed in Chicago. State Street is no longer the way it used to be, with vast amount of stores. Neither is Water Tower Place or even Michigan Avenue. It's not, you don't have the same level of retail activity there. And I just have no desire to go there. And it's great, you know, if you're in your 20s and you're single, you don't have children. Sure, it's fun when you're young. You've got all the restaurants and you've got all the nightlife. So, you know, you're renting. You don't have the burden of worrying about your property tax bill. You don't have the burden of worrying about the upkeep of your home. So it's a lot different between renters and property owners, and even employees and business owners. If you're a business owner, there's really no reason to even want to do business in Chicago anymore, or in Illinois, especially if you're a small business. I mean, I'm sure, you know, you've got the population. Some people, they see opportunity, but when you're talking about taxes and regulations, I think a lot of businesses are going to be forced out of Chicago and Illinois as a whole. So it's a totally different scene between being a renter, being single, being young. You know, it's attractive, but as you get older, as you purchase property, it's a whole different ballgame. So that's all I have for now. So please subscribe so I can create more content. I'm trying to build this channel, so hopefully you find this of value.